Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 7.12 Bullet Belay. We are back.
Yes. We're not going to say any words that sound like Okimonpe, so we can focus.
Yes. Well, I'm back on like my Pokemon. No, I almost did it. I almost actually started talking about Pokemon. That wasn't even intentional.
The brain rot is real. This is like when we first discovered Darman, and that was all we talked about for like 2 months. All right, yes, Bullet Ballet. Okay, so last time...
Well, I wasn't even a bit. I almost just launched into like a big talk about my Pokemon obsession over the years.
I would love to hear about it after this chapter. Tell me in private.
Yes, go.
So last time on Aetheral Space, the chapter mostly focused on Chloe and Scout. They were fighting Elena Pheasant and like these other jackasses, and then he was like, Perfect Palisade. No, it was... Perfect Palace... what was it called?
Perfect Palace, Palisade, Princeton is easy.
That's fucked up that he has two words that are basically palace in a row. Perfect Palace, Palisade, Princeton. Which was like the worst, the shitty... It was like Yandere Sim version of an Aether technique. Am I wrong? Yes, so basically he's like... Cousin, I need you to go kill Elena while I just sloop the floors around Lamau. And she was like, I'll do it. And then meanwhile, Dragon was like, guys, I think Serena's fucked up. And then him, Ruth, and Skipper went to check, and she was gone. And it was like, ooh. Alright, now we're here. 1 year earlier, Elena lit Jacques Oliphant Escoffier's cigarette as he put it in his mouth. Even with his grave expression, he nodded gratefully as he took a step towards the man tied up on the floor. The place they were standing in would one day be a planetary monument. Once, on this planet called Nemos, the gene tyrant called Vicenza had built a palace tall enough that it had reached the orange skies. The palace had fallen during the 1,000 Revolutions, of course, but the new governor was nothing if not a history buff, and he was eager to match the architectural accomplishments of the tyrants. These were but the empty foundations, but they'd serve for this purpose. The disco ball above the group spun with flowing colors, and Jacques' two zombies moved, pulling the tied-up man up into a standing position. He thrashed wildly, but the grip of the dead man was utterly unbreakable. Jacques watched the display, his cold expression unimpressed. The affable effect he adopted in public and with his family had utterly vanished. I'm sorry, the affable effect he adopted in public and with his family had utterly vanished. Sorry, that effect is fucking me up because I think you used the right one, but Google says it's wrong, but also I am horrible at telling.
I'm right. I assume I'm right.
Okay. Boss, the bearded man pleaded, looking at his employer. Please, I swear, I didn't do nothing. Jacques reached a hand into the inside pocket of his white long coat, his expression unamused. Really? He snapped, voice droll. How do you snap and have a droll voice? That fucked me up, Tan. You faked me out. You weren't passing information on to my sister? I wasn't! Whoever told you that is lying! Jacques raised an eyebrow. I made a deal with my sister Valentina. In exchange for resources she so desperately needed. She gave me the names of all the moles she had in my organization. Oh, you spell it with an S? That's so fucked up. Your name was among them. Could you be calling my darling little sister a liar, Groon? His eyes widening, Groon quickly shook his head. That's kind of a fucked up thing to do as a boss, right? Why wouldn't they just be like, I'll stop spying on you? Why would they be like, here's all my moles, kill them? Or was the idea like, if he kills them, then I don't have to pay them, which is even more fucked up?
Who knows? It's very offensive.
No. Oh, no. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean... He didn't get to finish his sentence. Jacques whipped his pistol out of his coat and shot him through the head, burning bits of brain and skull flying into the pit behind him. A second later, a flash of the disco ball triggered the two zombies to throw Groon's body in as well. Hang on, I need to blow my nose. Oh yeah, we never got to see the zombie power because he like died right away, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder what they did. No mercy for traitors, Jacques said quietly, returning his gun to its holster. He took a drag of his cigarette as he stepped away from the scene, nodding to the foreman who was standing meekly in the corner. You can get started now. Construction would officially resume 30 hours later, the sea of cement firmly removing any evidence that the man called Groon had ever been here. In a way, Elena supposed he should be grateful. Thanks to his attentive boss, he got to be a part of history. Now, Elena could feel it all. Far above her was her bullseye, The aether it was imbued with allowed her to keep constant track of its location, and, by extension, the location of Scout Elephant Dawkins. Whenever she tried to move closer to it, however, the bullseye would suddenly get farther away. Something was actively preventing her approach. Below her, maybe a floor or two down, You know what I just realized that's fucked up?
Yeah.
He spent all this aether making this giant building he can shuffle around, right?
Yeah.
But if and the whole thing is made of aether, like so much so that like pinging or trying to do stuff to it is like ouch. Why didn't he just like make his technique a small box of aether that went around a person? It's basically the same thing. It would be just as effective, and like he'd be able to keep it up way longer.
We don't know the specifics of how it works yet.
I suppose maybe there's some rules I'm not aware of. Like, he can start announcing rules, like, I declare that today is Wednesday inside the Palisadium.
No, I deny that. Then be crushed by gravity.
Now, my dear sister's ability, who only works on Wednesdays, can activate. Whenever she tried to move closer to it, however... Oh, sorry. Below her, maybe a floor or two down, she could feel the bulge she'd shot. Just like her, it was stuck in some kind of loop, heading straight up, then suddenly relocating back to its original position, over and over again. Polar F-ass, motherfucker. Whatever this place was, it seemed to operate on its own set of rules. Elena had come to, I assume, into this first room.
No, come to.
Elena had come to in this first room, a swimming pool with lounge chairs off to the sides, and from there she tried to ascend to Elephant Dawkins' position, ending up in some kind of restaurant-quality kitchen. That was the only progress she was allowed to make, though. If she ascended from the kitchen, she just ended up back here in the swimming pool. As a test, she tried leaving her hat on one of the sunbeds, finding it again after climbing up the stairs and entering the same room again. She put the hat back on, bells jingling. If nothing else, that confirmed she was cycling between the two rooms, not climbing through a series of identical chambers. That, along with the regular distance as the bullseye moved away from her, suggested that the trick behind this was that the rooms themselves were moving as she climbed, replacing whatever destination she was trying to reach. Just go faster, forehead. Well, like, how fast is his switch? Because I imagine it was like Jenga, where he pulls the floors out and then puts them back in, but it's instantaneous?
No. Yeah.
The whole building was basically a deck of cards, then. Well, Elena was perfectly comfortable gambling. She never seemed to lose, after all. Spoken like an NPC that's about to get owned. The key to winning games like this were to make best use of the resources you had, and to exploit the weaknesses your opponent's resources possessed. So what cards could she play here? For one, there was the bullet, constantly cycling between the two floors below her. Right now, that made it pretty much useless, but if it was taking up any of Scout's attention, that was worthwhile. Then the bullseye. She could keep track of Scout's location no matter where he went. Even if her aether pings were useless here, she wouldn't be blind. She had 2 more bullseyes she could send out. A plan occurred. If she sent one of her bullseyes up to the next floor instead of going herself, would Scout still swap the 2 floors' positions? He'd have to in order to avoid the projectile, wouldn't he? And if he did, Elena could use that opportunity to move up to the next floor unimpeded. It was unlikely he'd fall for it twice in a row, so she couldn't get all the way up to him, but it was still a way to break out of this loop, at least. With a flare of green aether, she dispatched the bullseye, the object twirling in the air like a flying saucer as it zoomed off towards the stairs. Unlike her bullets, which homed in on their corresponding targets, Elena could remote control the bullseyes, allowing her to land attacks from far away. The bullseye disappeared from sight as it headed up, but Elena could still feel the aether she'd... Okay, if she was smart, what she would do is do two targets, right? One on this floor, one on the next, and they're constantly both moving up, so then when it swaps, the second one would still get through to the next floor.
Well, you would do better in this fight.
I would. No. Now it was below her, and Scout was just wait, did I miss?
You missed
Sorry.
something, so yeah.
The bullseye disappeared from sight as it headed up, but Elena could still feel the aether she'd invested in it. Like a stock, she could sense it like a faraway limb rising above her. No, now it was below her, and Scout was just a tad closer. Elena didn't waste a second. She immediately broke into a sprint, arms pumping as she made her own way to the stairs. She jumped up 3 steps at a time, sparks of aether dancing off her boots each time they struck the wooden stairs. Hurry, hurry, she told herself, teeth gritted and bared to their utmost. See, the funny thing is, like, even if she gets all the way up, he can just swap the 8th floor and the 1st floor, and then it starts over.
If she gets the floor he's on, though, she can't, like, individually move people around. Everything on the floor goes...
No, I know, but, like, let's say she gets all the way up to the 7th floor. He just has to go back to the 1st floor for himself. Elena didn't waste a second. She immediately... You know what would be smart? If he rearranged the bullet floors so that they were behind Elena, so like while they're going to the target, they shot through her instead.
We did see where they phase through other things on the way to the target once they're locked
on. So I see. Her effort paid off, and she successfully made it to the next floor. It was some kind of living room with a roaring fireplace surrounded by cozy armchairs. She didn't stop to appreciate the scenery. She couldn't afford to lose this momentum. Scout was maybe 3 floors away, but if she gave him time to regain himself, he could easily trap her in another loop. She leapt across the room, firing her revolvers behind herself for additional acceleration, landed on the stairs, and was faced with the creature descending from above. Some kind of massive spherical jellyfish, with a body as dark as night surrounded by grasping, flexile tendrils. Sparks of pale blue aether ran along its body as it sensed her presence. The attack was immediate. A tendril struck Elena with the force of a car, slamming into her midsection and sending her flying across the room, smashing into a wall that sparked with angry pink aether. You don't have to describe the colors every time, methinks.
Yeah.
She gasped for air.
It's to satisfy that Scout's aether coming from the wall, not like hers.
So, I see. She gasped for air, devastating pain already ringing out of her body as she fell forward into the ground. If she wasn't infusing her body, Elena had no doubt that attack would have utterly pulverized her organs. Steeling herself for a painful fight, she picked herself up off the floor, hands tight around the grips of her revolvers. "Come on, you fucker!" she hissed at the approaching jellyfish. "Come and get me!" 100,000 each. She just had to remember that. She could endure as much pain, as much humiliation as it took, so long as she was able to grab that reward in the end. Is there even a guarantee these people have they're going to get the fucking money? Has anyone tested it yet?
This is the test. No, but prior to this, she did kill a couple of bodyguards, so we can assume that the results of that have convinced her that she will get money from this.
She got wired, like, instantly through PayPal.
Yeah.
Money ran the world, and if you had enough of it, that made you a higher breed of human.
I'm pretty sure I've said something like this in the last couple of days as a joke.
Yeah, no, you did the same thing with Bradley yesterday in the session. That's why I was like, what the fuck? Fucking name a more iconic duo than Tanhony and humans that want to ascend being human as characters.
Free money.
Her opponent's attack had been devastatingly quick, but in terms of movement it was pretty slow. It floated leisurely over towards Elena, slower than a walking human. Tendrils reared back, ready to assume pummeling. Its simple behavior, move straight towards her and attack once she was in range, suggested this thing was some kind of automatic construct. Most likely its master just designated Elena as the target and sent it on its way. It wasn't unlike her bullseye bullet, then, mindlessly following after the target until it struck true. Still, just because it was slow didn't make it any less deadly. The thing was getting too close. Elena fired her guns back again, launching herself across the room at an angle and narrow. How much kickback do these guns have, Dan?
Enough.
Okay. Launching herself across the room at an angle and narrowly avoiding a swipe tendril that she was certain would have broken her back. Her back, Dan?
Her back. Why the fuck would it autocorrect back to Beck? What would that even mean in this context?
A second pair of shots forward canceled her momentum. Oh my god, fucking Smash character. Allowing her to land atop the mantle of the fireplace like a cat, staring down her opponent. It had taken about 10 seconds for the jellyfish to cross the room and attack her again. Elena could fire 10 bullets in 6 seconds and reload in about 3. Assuming she kept up a constant attack, that gave her about 1 second to dodge the next blow with her remaining 2 bullets. Of course, that was also assuming that attacking the jellyfish would accomplish anything. Elena highly doubted the thing was invincible, but that didn't mean whatever weakness it had was so obscure that she'd never figure it out. Wait, what?
That should be wasn't there, that's my mistake.
Yeah, I was like, wait, she's just saying the same thing twice. Besides, this whole thing could be a distraction while Scout Oliphant Dawkins prepared some other gambit. She reached her mind out, checking her bullseye. No, the distance between her and her Aether construct hadn't changed, and thus the distance between herself and Scout hadn't changed. Bang, 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 bang! 10 thunderous shots thudded into the body of the incoming jellyfish, each causing its body to spasm and shudder. I fixed it already. There you go. Its body to spasm and shudder, the bullet sinking into its amorphous body. No matter how much pain it seemed to display, though, the creature never stopped moving. Elena clicked her tongue as the jellyfish reached her position at the fireplace. Jerking one of her revolvers behind her again. When's the next fucking stop point? Oh my god. I'm running out of breath here. Jerking one of her revolvers behind her again, she fired, giving herself the momentum to fly over the jellyfish just as it attacked. Then, as she passed over it, she fired her last remaining bullet, right into the creature's back, pushing it firmly into the flames. Those were much more effective. Fire ran up the jellyfish's tendrils like they were made of string, and before long the entire thing was a sculpted inferno. Even still, it turned, trying to pursue her as she landed back on the carpet. She wouldn't give it the opportunity. This was all but over. Elena reloaded, recorded bullets manifesting back into their chambers without her having to so much as lift a finger. Oh, that's pretty cool. The instant she felt their reassuring weight return, she lifted her guns and fired another volley of shots directly into the enemy's body, driving them further and further into the fireplace. Already some parts of it were crumbling into ash. Another check. Scout still hadn't moved. This had been his last gambit.
I do have to say there isn't another break here, so you can popcorn whenever you need to.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think I'm gonna have to pass it. I'm losing it.
With a smirk, Alana turned away from the pile of soot, just in time to avoid the bolt of pale blue aether that had been aimed right for her face. It footed harmlessly into the wall behind her. Standing across from her, gaping in panic at the missed shot from the bottom of the stairs, was the other Oliphant brat, Chloe Oliphant Escoffier. There's something stuck to her back too, another smaller jellyfish, its tendrils stretching out and pointing in Alana's direction. That must have been what fired the shot. If Alana wasn't mistaken, Chloe had used that attack on her associate Insider before. After it hit him, he'd been reduced to rolling on the ground like an invalid for several seconds. Perhaps it was something that interfered with the nervous system then, tricking the body into triggering excruciating pain. Alana felt her eye twitch. This little shit had tried to get one over on her. The two of them glared intensely at each other, both knowing that the slightest movement would cause violence to break out all at once. Chloe shifted her footing on the stairs. Alana adjusted her stance on the carpet. No doubt Chloe would try to run back upstairs, and then Scout would move that floor out of Alana's reach. This combination of powers really was infuriating. I get it, Alana called out, more to distract than for anything else. Your cousin's been switching his own position at the same time he switches mine. That way the distance between us doesn't change, and I couldn't tell he was setting you up for a sneak attack. Didn't really work out, did it? Chloe didn't reply. She just continued glaring, and at her sides, Alana could see her fists quietly trembling. Bravado only went so far, didn't it? Well, Alana sighed, waving one hand. It's over anyway, darling. Tell you what, stay still and I'll end it in one shot. Just take your aether down, okay, sweetie?
Just die, okay, sweetie? I love how that's every evil villain's thing. It's I'll make sure it's a quick death.
Chloe's eyes narrowed, but her aether didn't waver. Fuck you, she breathed. Aw, Alana pursed her lips. Bless your heart. Chloe attacked first, one of those tendrils sending another bolt of blue pain firing at Elena. It was laughable, honestly, slow enough that Alana could dunk underneath it with ease, firing off a bullet to send herself flying in Chloe's direction. The Oliphant Brat's eyes widened in fear as Alana flew towards her position. The girl turned on her heel to flee back up the stairs, and as she did, she fired off a volley of pain bolts just as Alana shot her last bullet. 2 projectiles hit at once. The bullet hit Chloe right in the leg, blowing at her kneecap and sending her falling forward onto the stairs with a scream of pain. At the same time, one of the pain bolts struck Alana in her leg. Pain spread out through the limb like she'd been stamped in every inch of flesh available. She too collapsed to the floor, whimpers of agony escaping through her gritted teeth, but pain would be no obstacle to her movement. With a snarl, she reached out and seized Chloe's good leg as the younger girl tried to crawl up the remaining stairs. Dead, growled Alana as the two of them were pulled up, her eyes wide and bloodshot from the pain. You're fucking dead, you little shit, you fuck, I'll kill you. I'll fucking kill you. The tendrils of Chloe's backpack jellyfish were latching onto the floor above, slowly pulling its master up. And with her, Alana was being brought up too, her grip on Chloe's leg unbreaking.
Wait, I'm a little confused. What's happening right now?
What do you mean? When did you lose it?
So she shot her in the leg, and then she shot her back in the leg with a bolt of pain, but she's grabbing the leg?
Well, there's another leg. She has 2 legs.
Okay, so she's holding on to one leg and then shot the other.
Well, both of them got 1 leg shots. Chloe is trying to crawl up the stairs with her jellyfish, pulling her up. Alana is grabbing onto the good leg and being pulled up too.
The jellyfish's leg or Alana's leg?
Alana's
or Chloe's leg, I mean.
The jellyfish is like a backpack.
I'm so confused. Who's grabbing who? Help me out
Alana's
here.
grabbing Chloe.
Okay. Yes, so Alana's grabbing Chloe's leg.
Yes.
So why is she not able to just shoot her in the head from here? That's like point-blank distance.
Because she got hit with the paintball. It's like maximum pain.
Oh, so she like recoiled from... Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So the shot went straight. Okay. Sorry, I got lost for a second in the sauce there. There was a lot of action going on. Okay, continue.
Even through the haze of agony, Alana's mind was still capable of reasoning, and through that she could tell she had won this battle. Scout wouldn't want to risk moving the floors if it meant leaving his cousin with her. So long as she didn't let go of this brat, she could ascend the rest of the floors without issue. With the injuries she sustained, Alana would have no trouble taking Chloe as a hostage. The next floor came into view. Scout had clearly been rearranging the floors while she and Chloe had been fighting. This was the kitchen again, white and sterile. The only traces of colour being the red blood Chloe trailed behind her as she pulled herself off the stairs. A feral grin spread across Alana's face as victory drew closer, half her body already off the stairs. As soon as this pain faded, she'd knock Chloe out and continue climbing. Chloe stopped crawling. Alana's grin faltered, just slightly. Had the kid already passed out from blood loss? It wouldn't be surprising, but it still wasn't ideal. If the brat died while Alana was climbing, she very well couldn't be used as a hostage, could she? The pain fading from her leg, Alana went to pick herself up, but never found the opportunity. The jellyfish on Chloe's back lunged at her with blinding speed, rushing past her vision a split second and sending her falling back to the ground as it attached to her back instead. Then the four tendrils lashed out, two binding her arms and legs together, and the other two latching onto the stairs and holding tight, keeping her in place. She went to dispatch a bullseye to have it spin and slice through the tentacles, but bolts of pain channeled directly into her body put an end to that. This time she couldn't help but scream. Pain was coursing through her body, but her mind was still focused enough for the horror of the situation to dawn upon her. Where she was right now, half on one floor, half on another, was the worst possible place for her to be. If Scout moved the floors now, then, this had been their plan all along. Chloe's hair fell over her face as she looked over her shoulders, back towards the screaming Elena.
Wait, doesn't that mean the jelly will also get cut in half?
Yeah, well, that's a construct, so it comes back.
Oh, okay. Alana won't be coming back.
Yeah. The only thing visible through those dark locks were her eyes, widened to their limits, staring murderously into Alana's soul. Those eyes were nothing if not familiar. No mercy for traitors, Chloe Elephantiscophier said, her voice ice. There was the sound of tearing meat.
Meaty.
And then I forgot there actually was a next section, popcorn.
Fuck yeah! That's okay, I needed the popcorn. I was like about to lose it. Scout gasped for air as they reappeared. Aren't there still two other fuckers back there?
Yes, there were.
They just took out one person. Scout gasped for air as they reappeared in the ruins of the Elephant Escoffier complex, the skyscraper now little more than a pile of rubble and glass. The destruction caused by releasing Perfecta Palace, Palisade de Princedom, truly was atrocious, but Scout was grateful for the reduced pressure all the same. Sidekick dropped off his neck, thoroughly worn out, and Scout returned the Aether battery to his backpack with shaking hands. "Chloe?" Scout called out to his cousin, but there was no need.
Just something
she was visible
as well. So apparently, it's not really dwell on here, but undoing Perfect Palace, Palisade Princeton apparently caused everything in the surrounding to blow the fuck up. So that's another aspect to this power.
So they're dead. The other two. Oh my god. He fucking killer queen to space of existence. That's kind of interesting. You could set up a time bomb, like hide somewhere ahead of time. You know an enemy's coming.
It's not that
and
bad. There's some uses for it.
I still feel like it's like the most spaghetti.
There's better ways to do it, but
yeah, Skipper would have done this with his heartbeat alone. He would have been like, by contorting the sounds, I can cause hallucinations in your mind that make you believe you're at a palace.
Using sound on your brain sounds like a piano, but we got We got hurry.
Oh yeah, sorry. She was visible lying down not far away, just past what was left of... But the people who were inside the palace don't explode, right? So, like, no. She's fine? Okay. What was left of Elena Pheasant? Scout gingerly moved around the severed torso as he made his way towards her. Chloe's third and final jellyfish, hello to the new world! I can't believe you didn't call it New World Order. Was hovering over her. It was small, around the size of a human hand, the blue light within it making it seem like some kind of a shining star. A thin line ran out from its single tendril as it printed new flesh and bone to replace the damaged material from Chloe's leg. That sucked! Chloe winced as the jellyfish healed her. What do we do now? Scout collapsed next to her. He hadn't realized how tired he was, but sweat was indeed pouring down his forehead, and every breath felt like fire scorching his lungs. It really had been a long, long night. We lay low, he panted, staring at the city lights above. "Find some place to hide. Join back up with the rest of the family as soon as we can. It's..." The rubble shifted. Chloe tried to stand up, but her legs still wasn't up to the task, and she quickly collapsed again. Scout couldn't even muster that much effort. One of the remaining bodyguards, the cyborg woman with the cannon in her chest, was climbing out of the rubble. The explosion had clearly done a number on her part. Part of the skin on her face had burnt away, revealing the metal skull implant beneath, and one of her arms was entirely missing, wires sparking from the stump on her shoulder. Even so, she was glaring at them with murderous intent, and the cannon on her chest was whirring furiously. 200,000, she growled, blood dribbling down her chin. 200,000, easy money, it's easy money! Neither of them could so much as move. The fight against Elena Pheasant had taken everything they'd had. How would this have worked if the three had originally won on jumping them? Would they have had to split it?
Yeah.
The whirring reached an apex end. Blunk! A sticky projectile launched from somewhere out of sight, landed on the barrel of the cannon, firmly attaching itself. It clicked. The explosion that ensued wasn't as devastating as the cannon shot would have been, but it was enough. The cyborg woman was consumed by a pillar of fire, her final scream drowned out by the billowing inferno. By the time she finally dropped, there was little left of her but ashen bone and scorched metal. The shooter stepped into view from atop the crater. The grenade pistol he'd used returned to its holster. Scout, a grenade pistol?
Yeah.
Tanhony.
It's
I know it's the future.
Yeah, it's the future. It's the far future. I can say
Grenade pistol.
I can say you can make them in MGS5. You think you can't make them in the year 1 million?
You also made it like a sticky grenade, like Halo. Yeah. It's like goop. The scout peered forward, trying to identify the person through the smoke. He was fairly certain he didn't recognize that silhouette. It was a young man with long orange hair flowing in the wind, his face lined generously with freckles. Is this Cot?
It seems to be Cot.
As he stepped out of the smoke and towards the two of them, he offered a friendly smile, brushing the suit off his blue blazer as he extended a helping hand. "Hey," he said, "you guys look like you needed some help." I forgot, is that Cot's voice? I don't remember.
It changes every time because he's such an enigmatic man.
I'm assuming this is cooperation or, like, kindness.
Maybe we'll find out. Well, we will find out. What I'm talking about. There's no maybe.
Alright, well that was Bullet Ballet. We made it just in time. Alright, bye everybody, bye!
Bye!